Good afternoon. I know that we probably surprised a few of you because you're probably wondering how in the world does something associated with the government start ahead of time. And we started ahead of time today. We were a few minutes early, and Shauna said, let's move forward. So that's what we did, and if we caught a few of you off guard for arriving late, we apologize for that. But it was important for the family and for all of us to get started. On behalf of the Spokane Fire Department and the City of Spokane, I sincerely want to thank all of you for being with us today to pay tribute to John and his family. It means so much to each of us. I also want to express our heartfelt appreciation to all of the local fire service partners for their role in assisting us in planning for this day and for covering our stations and the city so that our members had the opportunity to attend today's service. We've already heard and seen and will hear more about John's large family. Spokane Fire was first touched by John Knighton when he joined our fire department family in 1994. He and 13 of what were to become his new friends completed their regional recruit academy on June 23, 1994. Many of John's fellow classmates and graduates are here today and have remained close with John and his family since those early days. I want to say a special thank you to Deputy Fire Marshal Brett Hatcher, who became one of John's closest friends, and for all that he has done as a liaison to the department and John's family over these last months. John was recognized as the top recruit of the class that he graduated from. During the presentation of that award, then training captain Bob McBride described John as, and I quote, one of the most coachable, most willing, and probably one of the friendliest people that I have had the opportunity to work with. His attitude is always at the top. He always did things willingly, with a smile on his face, and was always the first one to help other people. He is going to be a great firefighter. Retrospectively, some might call Captain McBride a psychic because it didn't take long for us to see his summary was absolutely right on. And it was the perfect description of what all of us saw in and of John during his career. On February 4th of 2001, John was promoted to fire equipment operator. He spent most of his career working at Station 4, but also worked out of Station 2. Being a lover of the outdoors and adventure, he served on the water team, on the technical rescue team, and was part of SFD members who have responded on state mobilizations. John loved his job, and it was his job at SFD that through absolute fate brought he and Shauna together so that they could build their life and beautiful family over the last 19 years. It's a great story. It's a bit soap opera-ish, but I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to share it with you. In our department, as a new firefighter, as they complete their recruit academy, the remainder of their probationary year of employment is spent being assigned to different stations so that they can work under multiple officers and personnel who can evaluate them and help them learn and be successful. It just so happened that John was assigned to Station 15 in the Hilliard area. That's up in the northeast part of Spokane for those of you who are out of town. And within a couple of weeks of graduating from the academy, he had the good fortune of being dispatched on a smoke investigation call to a place of business called the Nailery up on Wall Street. Takes care of doing your nails. Well, one of Shauna's good friends worked at the Nailery and must have been impressed with John and mentioned that to one of her frequent customers who was there during the call. The customer, an older lady that knew and thought a lot of Sunny, who was the lady that was Shauna's friend, spied the number on the side of the engine. And shortly thereafter, she showed up at Station 15 with one of Sunny's business cards saying, you need to call this young lady. She's a special young lady. Well, John built up courage, and he called Sunny, and she told John to bring a friend along, and they would go and get a drink somewhere. So Sonny called Shauna, who had just ended a tough relationship and was really not interested in meeting any men at that time. After a lot of bantering by Sonny, Shauna said yes, she was going. By the way, she didn't know that there were going to be any men there. So off they went. Sonny knew up front that she was just getting back with her boyfriend, and this relationship matchmaking was all about John and Shauna. So John took his friend Randy Ott along. They went, they had drinks, and so they say, the rest is history. The fire department brought Shauna and John together. During the 3 years of their dating, Shauna learned how much John loved the fire department and was so impressed with how someone could love their job so much. That caused a bit of a problem, however, when on August 14th of 1997, this was the day before Shauna and John's wedding, John was a no-show when their wedding rehearsal began. With Shauna standing at the altar with a fill-in beside her, John came dashing in while in uniform and told her that he only had about 10 minutes because he had been called in. We had some state mobilizations going on at that time, and a number of our firefighters had been called to the state mobilization. John was filling in. The crew and the rig were actually waiting outside. That's the kind of love that John Knighton had for his job and those that worked with him. Shauna said he would never trade off on a holiday to be with the family because it was his shift and he needed to be there. He never called in sick. Maybe when there was even a little encouragement from his wife to extend a vacation or a family outing, John loved the fire department. When John learned that he had cancer, the first question he asked his oncologist was, "When can I get back to work?" When she expressed that he may never return to work, Shauna knew right then that John would be back. He was determined to get back to the job he loved, and with tenacity, John fought to return to work, the job that meant so much to him, and all of us were so happy to see him return to Station 4. We were pained as John and his family faced the highs and lows of treatment and all of the associated conditions and circumstances that went with this horrific disease. We remained optimistic as we followed the Knighton story through Facebook and the media. John and Shauna received overwhelming love and support along the way, not just here locally, but literally from all over the world. Sadly, the 3-year battle with what has been determined to be a duty-related cancer did not conclude as any of us would have scripted it. John Knighton was one of the most courageous and inspirational members we have ever had the privilege of working with. Throughout the entire ordeal, John maintained an incredible attitude while continuously expressing thanks and appreciation to all who had offered support and prayers. John's action epitomized bravery and set a shining example for all of us in how to deal with adversity. John was a special man, a good brother, a loving husband, a proud father, a dedicated Marine, and a good friend. And lastly, Bob McBride's June 1994 prediction was proven. John Knighton was a great firefighter who was loved, admired, and respected by all of us at SFT. We will miss him. God bless you, John.